Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. Today we're going to be looking at a piece by the artist Wumples, and Wumples is a digital artist working within graphic design as well as generative surrealism, also known as AI-generated art. And Wumples creates a bunch of pieces and really takes a lot of different genres and meshes them all together. And so we're going to take a look at the pieces near the end, but for now we're going to be taking a look at this one here. And in its initial introduction, we're met face to face with just these blaring green eyes, right? Those emerald eyes just stare directly at you, and it's very kind of confrontational. You're right face to face with it as if you're squaring it up almost. So that's quite terrifying, and it just stares straight right at you. And there's a bit of color-based rarity here because the eyes are rare accents. You see very rare accents here, but not too much. The green is some incredible accents, and of course that is the symbolism of the skull staring directly at you. We have a really, really dark subject, just, absolutely terrifying, made up, of course, this skeleton form. And notice the amount of visual energy within this piece. This, of course, is attributed by the constant melt and flow and all these curves of the flame. This just sends this visual energy in every direction possible, right? There's no set form where it's just up or down. There's no straight lines. It's all these curves, and they just layer and they layer and they layer, and those are relentless. And so it allows the eye, no place to rest. You're just pulled into it and you're caught with it instantly. And this fire is really unique because we see a multicolored flame. I've never seen a green flame before or a purple flame. We do see the blue flame, and the blue flame, whenever we're talking about, say, color-based rarity, the blue flame is the most prominent. So that would make up the core foundation. Notice how this blue flame and just the entire silhouette or burning form of our subject in general contrasts and emphasizes itself against this midnight backdrop. This black backdrop is exactly the neutral backing, which allows it to emphasize its form on top of that. So that's really important to note, and that really, like I said before, it's very confrontational. You're right face to face with it, and that accent is a very subtle part of that, which creates the final resulting visual experience. And this fire, like I said, we have that foundational blue. The blue is the most abundant, and then next and the most rare is going to be that purple. The purple kind of acts as this anchor form within the center, right? Because if we were to mark where it is, I'm gonna do a better one. Sorry. So if we were to mark where that is, that's kind of like the anchor or the core of the piece. If we were to divide the spatial composition, around the center is going to be about right there. So it definitely includes the center, and it just hooks on. That purple is that core foundation or that anchor, which the rest of the torso and the limbs and the head just kind of sprout from that, of course. Those eyes are just, they're relentless. They just keep staring, you can't get away from it. So I think that's also really important to note. So like we said before, it is a skeletal subject, and the skeletal subject always reminds of death. We have, it's not just a set skeleton. It's made up of this painterly flow and this painterly textural aesthetic of this, of the rib cage and the face and just every edge and form of the form of the silhouette. So it's absolutely incredible whenever we're taking a look at this. And so in the symbolism of, say, the skull, for example, the skull is, of course, a mortal reminder that we cannot escape final death in the end. If you're a lone hero, maybe you can escape death many times, but death always finds us in the end. So that's really a mortal reminder, and we see this piece just a multitude of faces, right? You see the face there and what inklings of a face kind of scattered around, and that really reinforces that sense of surrealism, right? These are the two main faces that I can really identify, but if you're really looking deep, you might be able to find some more. That's kind of like a Rorschach blot, that is very subjective and kind of an aspect of surrealism, which is pretty appropriate because it is generative surrealism of the AI medium. And so with that in mind, AI art is it's a whole different beast. We're seeing art generated from this massive amount of knowledge of images, and this kind of, the artificial intelligence is very, very intelligent, and it can create endless forms, and we're seeing a bunch of different digital art pages, just posting their AI art, and we're going to take a look at that here in example. But there's something very strange about AI art or generative surrealism. It's very, very knowledgeable. Like if we're looking at, say, DALL-E by OpenAI, that shit is quite terrifying. Excuse my language, but it's quite incredible, and we're holding on, we're watching every single aspect, right? And so this piece is a mixed media piece. So if we were to take a look at it in a bit more depth, it started with that initial rendering of the AI. And then the artist then took that, made a second rendition, a little bit of Photoshop edits there. And then you see kind of the rib cage symmetry there, and you see much more of the definition of the face. That is then brought into disco diffusion, which creates an even further layer of AI generation into a third rendition. And finally, you have the final Photoshop edit, which is the resulting visual experience which stands before us. So multiple renditions and multiple influences of AI art is what will create something as painterly and incredible and just dark as this. You're looking at the birth of an entity from generative surrealism, and it's quite incredible. It's terrifying. There's something divine about AI art because it has so much knowledge and it can create something. And of course, it is not human. It is something new, and there's something divine here, and we're seeing a dark source of divinity that's coming from that, just in this piece specifically. But AI art in general is quite divine, as you're seeing just a massive amount of technology intersecting in every part. So with that in mind, you can think of this piece as, say, the horror genesis, or the genesis of horror that rises from this non-human artificial intelligence. So we're going to take a look at some of the artist's other pieces here. As you can see, here's our piece here. Oh yeah, this piece is also on sale for about 0.2 to 0.3 Ethereum on the OpenSea art market within the Ethereum blockchain if you're looking to support the artist directly. All right, so we have the original artist here, Wumples, and from California, digital artist, graphic design, so graphic designer and digital artist. A lot of color in some of the pieces that this artist is choosing to share. He really dives deep on this kind of fantasy aspect lately. A lot of natural forms as well. What looks like an octopus. We have the tree, and a lot of this is just absolutely incredible. Tons of color coming from this artist. You'll see, a little while ago he was developing these much more kind of portal or divine or spiritual type of renderings. Just some incredible work coming from this artist, and you see that really unique painterly flow. This is probably one of the best examples. You see the painterly flow of AI art there with absolute ease. There's something about this sway and flow as if it's still drying paint, and that just, like I said, it creates these endless forms of visual energy, which just constantly moving. So a ton of visual energy within this piece, and a very dark piece at that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Go check out some of Wumples' other works. Like I said, he creates a ton of different works within AI art, whether you like fantasy, whether you like divine spiritual art, whether you like horror art like we're looking at here. There's a ton to see from this artist. So go check out some of his other pieces. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.